Hi, everybody. My name's Alex Steven. I'm a software engineer here at Google. And today I'm going to talk to you all about the Iceberg Terraform provider. So I think as we all kind of go through our journeys with Iceberg, the thing that everybody is faced with is more data. I think that's pretty obvious. But then more data leads to more tables. It leads to more namespaces. It leads to more metadata changes. And just ultimately, it leads to a whole bunch of administration. And so at scale, how are we handling all this administration? How are we handling the creation and the altering of tables and namespaces and cleaning up resources when we're done? Well, we could break out our good old Spark cluster and we could start running these one-off DDL commands. Or shout out to the Pi Iceberg folks. We could break out the Pi Iceberg CLI and start using that. Or, and I'm pretty sure this is what everybody actually ends up doing, we could break out that one script that we have. That one script that has like 500 commands in it. And every time we have to make one little schema change, we just add a couple lines in at the bottom of the script. It's fine. And we run that script and the output looks something like this. And I know there's a lot of error messages, but like those are no ops because we're just running commands over again. But the important thing is that last line at the bottom that says it worked. And it's fine, right? Like I made all the changes I wanted to. All of my tables now have the schemas and everything exists as we want it to. And like, just ignore the error messages and it's fine, right? Everything worked. This makes our lives confusing. And it makes our lives confusing because all of these choices are imperative. Every single time that we want to change a namespace, change a table, we have to run through this flow chart in our head and figure out exactly what command it is that we have to do. We have to make sure that we don't run that command more than once because if we do, it's going to have unintended consequences. At worst or at best, just come out with an error message. I actually tried to create this also for all of the different table update operations. And I just do not have the spatial acuity to be able to fit it all on the screen. I spent an hour doing this. It was a complete waste of my life. So what ends up happening is we are responsible not only for figuring out the desired state of the world, exactly what we want our data infrastructure to look like. We're also responsible for figuring out exactly what actions we want to take in order to get there. With this, computers are really good at doing actions for us. And so really what we're trying to do is we want to still figure out the state of the world. We want to be in control of what our data infrastructure looks like, but we want the computer to figure out exactly what actions need to be taken in order to get there. So what kind of tool, does a tool like that exist out there? Well, actually there is one. It's called Terraform. Terraform is not just a DevOps tool. I think that's a trap that people fall into, thinking that it's for operations folks and SREs. It's a tool with a huge open source community. Lots of different developers, lots of work over the past decade. And the great thing about Terraform is that it's being used in so many different applications by so many different vendors. There's a wide variety of people in the Iceberg community, companies that have their own Terraform providers and vendors that can allow you to stand up Iceberg catalogs already using Terraform. And the work that we've been doing is building up a Terraform provider specifically for users of the Iceberg REST Catalog. And so that is the Iceberg Terraform provider. I'll have this slide back up at the end. I promise you don't have to take a picture of it just yet. So what is the Iceberg Terraform provider? The goal of this is to really be able to let Terraform act as a single pane of glass for all of your Iceberg REST Catalog resources. So currently this would be a single pane of glass for your namespaces and tables. As we see things like the UDF spec and functions come into play as we extend this for views, you can kind of see how this provider will let you create a single pane of glass for pretty much everything. And because of the Iceberg REST Catalog spec, this will work out of the box with any different Iceberg REST Catalog as long as it adheres to that spec. It's built off of all of the great work that the Iceberg Go project has been working on. Shout out to that community and to Matt Topol, who's been a huge help in actually getting this provider off the ground. And the great thing about it is that it understands all of the complex actions that might need to happen in order to get from one state to another. And I think this is particularly relevant in tables, where there's at least a dozen different kind of table update actions that you might have to perform in order to get your table from one place to another. So this is what your table looks like in Terraform language. It's a language called HCL. And the cool thing is you just kind of define your schema. It's really easy to define. And you don't even have to list like a schema ID or anything like that. Computers are really good at fetching IDs and incrementing them when they need to. So there's really no reason for a human to have to do any of that. You want to add a new field, just simply add it in, let Terraform figure out exactly what needs to be done to that table in order for that new field to appear in your table. Now, what exactly is it that Terraform's doing under the hood? It's actually a pretty deceptively simple tool. Terraform is really just kind of running this little piece of pseudocode in a loop. And so it's saying, well, if your resource shouldn't exist, I'm going to go ahead and delete that resource. And if your resource doesn't exist, but it needs to, I guess I'll create it. And then if the resource is different than what you intend it to be, I'll just update it until it actually matches what you want it to be. And there's a couple of things that are interesting about this loop. And one is that there's a lot of, this isn't comprehensive. There's a lot of different places where nothing is going to happen. And that is very much on purpose. We, if it's not broke, don't fix it, don't touch it. We want to make sure that as you are working on your day, as you are trying to make adjustments to your resources, that we're not going to be mucking around with the ones that are in the proper state. The second part of this that is particularly interesting is actually on the update side. And while this pseudocode looks really simple, the complexity of this actually lies in the last part. One, how do we take two resources and diff them? It's not just as simple as string equals. And then two, how do we go ahead and update that resource? It might not be as easy as just making one REST API call. You might be having to make several. You might even have to delete your resource and recreate it. Luckily, that's not something that has to happen in Iceberg land. I promise we will not be deleting your tables. But I think that this is kind of the scope for another talk. But there's a lot of really interesting complexity there that Terraform is able to mask over and allow you just to kind of get to the work of using your Iceberg resources. So with that in mind, I'm going to give up my trust to the conference Wi-Fi, and let's try a quick little demo here. So I've gone ahead and created a Terraform script here. And the really cool thing about Terraform is that there is such a wide variety of providers, and you can mix and match them depending on what use cases you have. So my script here, I'm actually going to start from 0, and I'm going to stand up a Google Cloud Storage bucket, and then I'm going to create a BigLake catalog. That's our Iceberg Lakehouse. That's our Iceberg REST Catalog Lakehouse. On top of that, and I'll maybe even do some little IAM permission stuff. And then from there, we're actually going to use the open source Iceberg Terraform provider to create a namespace, and we're going to create a table there as well. So let's go ahead and run Terraform apply. And the first thing Terraform is going to do is it's going to go look at the state of the world and tell me exactly what actions it's going to take. So I'm starting with 0, and so it's going to create 7 different resources. That's, the bucket and the catalog and some permissions things, and then a namespace and a table on top of that. So it's asking me if I'm okay with that. I'll say yes. And Terraform is going to figure out the proper ordering that it has to do all of these API calls. We get that for free. So we have to, have a catalog before we can create a namespace on that catalog. And Terraform can do all of the graph ordering automatically and figure all of that out. And then it's going to make all of the proper API calls from there, in the proper order with all the proper specs. And most importantly, it's going to do verification afterwards. So it's going to attempt to fetch all of those resources and make sure that they're all in the proper state. So as soon as it says apply complete, I actually know that I have a catalog with my proper namespaces and tables. Now, at this point, I could go ahead and Spark and actually run this and begin to append data and query it. But I actually realized that I made a mistake a little bit earlier. My namespace description, referencing last year's summit, let me go ahead and change that. And I can just run Terraform apply again. And we're going to give it a second. And you'll notice it's not going to try to add anything. It's not going to try to destroy anything. It's just going to try to change that one namespace resource and make the absolute most smallest surgical precision change possible. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And Terraform is going to go ahead and issue an update namespace properties API request. I don't even have to know what API it is. It's just going to do it automatically in the background. And then also verify that all of those changes have been made properly. So this is kind of the power of Terraform. One pane of glass. You don't have to know what actions are being taken on your behalf. You just know that when you're finished, your data, where all of your data infrastructure matches exactly what you want it to be. So with that, this was a lightning talk. I have taken about 15 minutes of your time. So thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
Use the microphone. So I believe you said that it's using REST Catalog.
Yes.
But a REST Catalog has a whole service behind it. So are we assuming that the service is already there, catalog service exists, or is it also trying to create this service?
We are assuming that the REST catalog already exists. The cool thing about Terraform in my demo was that I didn't have a catalog. So I actually went to a vendor service, Google BigLake, and said, use Terraform to have Google BigLake stand up a catalog service. And now that it appears, now we can start to use...
So in this case, it created a catalog for you?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Which is separate from the work that's being done in this provider. But it's something that you can do out of the box with Terraform.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think you were next.
Does this apply to schema evolution of the Iceberg table that is being created?
Yes. So that's actually the really cool thing is you can make those kinds of changes. And then, behind the scenes, we'll grab the schema ID and we'll increment it by one. And then we'll, create the new schema with the schema changes and then send that over. And we'll kind of do all of the update actions for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you use it for security? So for example, if you want to permission a certain principal on a namespace or on a catalog?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that does kind of get into some of the vendor specific portions of this. If I pull up my, kind of glossed a bit over this for time, but Google has a permissioning system called IAM. And so I can create those namespaces, but then use the Google provider and the resources in that to go ahead and add IAM conditions on top of the namespace. So depending on the vendors that you use, you can do pretty much everything from start to finish all in one tool.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, please go ahead.
So maybe this might be a little bit out of context. So you have the data streams which creates the BigLake Iceberg tables in GCS. So when we do that, do we need to first create the schemas in the catalog, or it just automatically creates that?
So I think in general, the work stream usually is that you first create your table and you define a schema on it, and then you use your engine or your pipelines, whatever it is that you're using to add data to that. So Terraform is really focused in on kind of that metadata portion. So we're not actually being involved in the the part of
data stream. I understand. I was just asking. That's why I said it's a different context. So that data stream will automatically not create schemas in catalog. So we would have to run this Terraform before we enable those data streams. Right?
To the best of my knowledge, you'd have to either run Terraform or there's 5 other different mechanisms for creating a table through Spark, CLIs, etc.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Sorry, do you mind? Thanks.
The first question is, can we do import? Like this support import?
So this will allow you to import in resources that have already been created through outside of Terraform.
So I can do like the tool to import like the I forgot the name, like the API, but okay. So the other one is like when there is a change that is outside Terraform manage, what happens in that case? Is it like any other Terraform source?
So that is, I think, one of the unfortunate downsides of Terraform. It depends on the change that you are making. Okay. Best case, your change, Terraform will be confused. Terraform will probably attempt to, like, what Terraform believes is the state of the world is what it will try to enact on your REST catalog. So probably will attempt to overwrite that change unless you make that change out of band and then go update Terraform to match.
Yeah, I'm concerned about out of band changes. Like not really the case most of the times, but like sometimes it can happen.
Yeah, and I think you'll typically...
You will notice that though during the plan though, right? It's not going to...
Exactly, yes. Yes, and yeah, I mean, you can kind of go through it. It'll tell you the amount of things that is attempting to change. If you are like running Terraform in CI where you might not be looking through that plan, that's where the dangers emerge.
Exactly, that's what I was... Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Do you mind just showing the part of the code where you're creating that REST catalog?
Yeah, definitely. Let me make that a little bit bigger. So this is kind of the creation of the bucket. And then, so then this is the creation of the catalog. And there's versions of this available for many different vendors. The Terraform registry is the place where you can find these providers. We have not quite yet released our first release of the Iceberg Terraform provider, but it's available from source with some really easy instructions to build.
So how do you choose which implementation of catalog you use?
So in this case, I might not be understanding. In this case, like we've kind of used the Google provider to create this BigLake catalog. And then if we go down to the namespace, we go up to, Exactly. We've actually have a couple of Polaris resources kind of in flight for handling creation of principles and things like that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thank you all so much.